true name, like Omid or Ivor. "Boy," he answered, his voice a croak. The stranger laughed then, throwing his head back. Dark eyes returned to him, alight with satisfaction. "Boy, how would you like to become a warrior for Scotland? How would you like to fight for me?" Chapter 1. In Cashchow-Nowell, Inverhaven, March 1390. It was after midnight, cold and raining. "Doesn't it matter at all that I don't want to be sent away?" Derryth MacClaren sat atop her mount, gripping the reins in her mitten-covered hands, her chest tight with fear and dread. Just moments ago, it seemed, she had been warm and asleep in her bed. The next she'd been hoisted by a Kincaid warrior into her saddle, as rain pattered on the stones all around. There was a wagon, and a group of Kincaid men gathered nearby, speaking quietly. They wore dark hoods and furs, with weapons glinting beneath. Clearly they were to be her escorts. But she did not want to ride out of the castle gates into the great darkness beyond, even if she did have an escort of the clan's largest and most skilled warriors to protect her along the way. Though sleep still muddled her mind, the frigid air quickly cleared the cobwebs away. Her older half-sister, Elsbeth Braewick, the Lady Kincaid, stood looking up at her in the shadows of the castle bailey, out of the dark frame of her cowl. Drops glittered on her face. "Of course your wishes matter," Elsbeth answered softly, in a conciliatory tone. "But sometimes you must trust that decisions are being made for your own good. I'm sorry, Derryth, but you have no say in this. You must go." "Elsbeth, what a paltry reply," Derryth said with a frown. "I am not an unquestioning child." She was 19, nearly 20. "Tell me why you are sending me away." Derryth had only a dim, sleepy memory of Elsbeth rousing her from her sleep and urging her to dress in garments that were quickly laced by two silent castle maids. Now, beneath a thick fur cloak, she wore the costume of a peasant, layers of oilskin, leather and wool, all roughly hewn, and underneath those, not one, but two pairs of heavy woolen hose. A dagger had been strapped to her waist. Instead of riding her own gentle grey pony, she sat on a hardy young mule. Derryth's grip on the reins tightened, her gaze fixed unwaveringly on her sister. Why hadn't she been told the day before of this plan? Why would they send her away now, in the dead of night? Then suddenly, she knew. "It's the wolf, isn't it?" she whispered, her heart sinking like a weighted stone in her chest. Just speaking his name caused her vision to blur and her throat to close. Though the last 2 years had passed peacefully, an enemy presence loomed like a dark shadow over Inverhaven always, a threat that had never really gone away. "No, of course not," Elsbeth murmured with a shake of her head. Her gathered brows and half-smiling lips declared Derryth's suggestion to be the silliest thing. But tellingly, she'd glanced away as she spoke the words. Derryth's pulse increased, knowing some unpleasant truth was being kept from her. "I don't believe you. He has threatened the Kincaids again, hasn't he? Don't send me away. I choose to stay here with you and Neil. I am not afraid." It was a lie. She was afraid of the wolf, Alexander Stewart, the Earl of Buchan, and the terrible destruction he'd all but promised to wreak upon the Kincaids. But love for her sister and all those here at Inverhaven made her brave. Like Elsbeth, Derryth was a MacClaren by birth. But since Elsbeth had married Neil Braewick, the Laird Kincaid, 2 harvests ago, the Kincaids had become Derryth's family too. Once their clans had been fierce enemies, but those times seemed a distant memory, all but forgotten. Since early summer, Derryth had resided at Cashchow-Nowell, the Kincaid clan's legendary castle in the clouds, as a guest of her sister and brother-in-law. There had been feasts and festivals, and she'd indulged in several exciting near romances, though she had not settled her affections on any man, as none had satisfied the always-changing requirements of her heart. In the meantime, Inverhaven had all but become her home. But now they were sending her away, to her other home, to the MacClaren stronghold at Fulranroch, over which her young